Hi, my name is Avery Noel. Tuesday, August 20th. That was the day Mrs. Ray emailed the senior class the list of speech introducers. I never knew how much power one email could hold. To be specific, after that email was sent, Merrill Culpepper has asked me nearly every day if I have written her introduction. For the past 3 months, Merrill has asked, "So, Avery, how is my intro coming along?" And for the past 3 months, I have responded, "Merrill, no." Since Merrill and I are locker neighbors, I have not been able to escape this daily interrogation. But do not be fooled, I am beyond honored to introduce Merrill. For those who do not know Merrill on a personal level, you may only be able to see how athletic and incredibly smart she is. However, I know Merrill as someone who is passionate, funny, competitive, determined, persevering, and friendly. Merrill, I am so happy that we became close friends this year. I cannot imagine a regular school day if it does not involve the two of us exchanging sassy comments. Do not be nervous because you will rock this speech. So, without any further delay, give it up for the senior class's very own baby Merrill, otherwise known as the Margaret Merrill Culpepper.
I am a middle child. When you search the word middle child, you will find that there is a middle child syndrome, suggesting middle children feel excluded. I never believed that the so-called middle child syndrome was true until I was 11 years old. A few months before I began my first day of 5th grade, my younger brother relapsed with leukemia. He had been diagnosed for the first time when he was 2, but I was so young that I do not remember much. However, when I was 11, my family's life flipped upside down once again, and I felt the weight of being a middle child more than ever. My brother needed a bone marrow transplant, and each member of my family was tested in hopes of finding a match. My older sister ended up being a perfect 10 for 10 match, a happy fact that selfishly led me to feel out of place. During the month leading up to my brother's bone marrow transplant, I had never felt more separated from my siblings. I have always felt at home in my family, except for during this time. My mom lived in the hospital with my brother, so I rarely saw her. During those 2 months, I started to feel resentment towards both my brother and my sister. They were receiving so much attention, and I felt unseen. People would leave gifts on my front porch for my brother and my sister, and nothing for me. I wanted the newest toys, I wanted food from my favorite restaurant, but really, I just wanted to be noticed. Most of all, I wanted a role in my family's story. Bitter feelings of guilt surprised me. How could I feel such anger for 2 people who were being so brave? I was consumed by the thought of no longer belonging in a place I had always felt accepted. But finally, I was given a role to play in the midst of all this chaos. On the day of my brother's bone marrow transplant, my mom needed someone to keep him occupied while my sister was in surgery. She asked me. We built forts for an intense game of Nerf guns, we decorated the glass walls of room 332 for Halloween, and we lay in his hospital bed and watched movies. Some of the most fun I remembered having in a very long time. I finally felt like I had a role in my brother's cancer story. I was his caregiver, his support, and his friend. At first, I managed my brother's cancer journey like the 11-year-old I was, self-centered and longing for people to look at me. But in reality, the chaos, unfamiliarity, suffering, and fear of losing my brother was so big compared to the middle school girl I was. Instead of continuing to focus on myself, I took a good long look at not only suffering, but the beauty that exists in chaos. My brother's diagnosis disrupted the normalcy of my family, and I felt I had lost my place. I allowed the emotions of loneliness and isolation to take over, blinding me to the fact that I did indeed have a role in my brother's journey. I discovered that in the midst of change and chaos, it is so easy to turn inward and cling to a comfortable identity that, for me, was lost after my brother's diagnosis. But by taking hold of my struggle and a new role in my family, I realized that while the foundations of our lives may shift, Our response to those changes are our own. In those days, I learned the incredible power of human choice. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos once said, "In the end, we are our choices. Build yourself a great story." So, while we all may feel out of place at some points in our lives, I urge you to remember that it is how you choose to adapt to your new reality that will determine your path. Thank you.